It was 4:17 a.m. when Emily Carter, a 31-year-old financial analyst living in the quiet suburbs of Boston, suddenly woke up to a loud and urgent knock on her front door. The house was completely silent except for the ticking clock in the hallway, and no one ever came at that hour unless something was seriously wrong. Confused and uneasy, she wrapped a jacket around herself and slowly walked toward the door. When she opened it, she found her neighbor Jason Miller standing there, breathing heavily, his face pale as if he had run all the way just to reach her. Jason was usually quiet and distant, someone who rarely spoke more than a polite greeting, but now his expression carried fear and urgency. Without wasting time, he told her not to go to work that day and to stay inside her house no matter what happened, without giving any clear explanation. When Emily demanded to know why, Jason only looked around nervously and said in a low voice that she would understand everything by noon, then quickly turned and left without looking back. Emily stood frozen at 4:18 a.m., her mind filled with confusion and unease. Something about his warning felt too serious to ignore. As she closed the door, her thoughts immediately drifted to her father, who had died suddenly 3 months earlier. Officially, it was called a medical emergency, but before his death he had repeatedly tried to tell her something important, always stopping mid-sentence and saying she would understand later. At the time, she had ignored it, but now those words felt like hidden warnings. Since his death, strange things had started happening: unknown cars parked near her house, silent calls from blocked numbers, and a constant feeling of being watched. She tried to convince herself it was just stress. Emily was a disciplined financial analyst at Harborview Capital Group, someone who never missed work and always followed routine. But today, something inside her made her stay home. At around 10:45 a.m., her phone rang from an unknown number. It was Officer Daniel Reed. His voice was calm but serious as he informed her about a violent incident at her workplace. Emily immediately said she had not been there at all. There was a pause. Then the officer said something that made her blood run cold. Surveillance footage showed her car entering the building at 8:02 a.m., and her ID had been used inside the office. Emily's hands trembled. She insisted it was impossible, that someone had stolen her identity. But the officer then revealed something even worse: items belonging to her were found at the scene. Her breathing became shallow. It felt like someone had perfectly framed her life without her even stepping outside. Before she could process it, another knock came at 11:20 a.m. It was Jason again. This time his voice was firm. He told her the people coming were not there to protect her, but to take her into custody. Emily, confused and terrified, asked him why all this was happening. Jason finally replied, "Because your life has been watched longer than you think, and your father knew the truth." Emily whispered, "Then what should I do?" Jason looked straight at her and said, "Don't panic, don't run blindly, and don't trust fear. Think clearly, because fear is exactly what they want you to feel right now." At that moment, distant sirens began to echo outside. Advice, important message. When life becomes confusing and everything feels like it is falling apart, never make decisions based on fear. Fear can make even innocent situations look dangerous and can push you into the wrong choices. Always pause, observe, and think logically before reacting. If something unusual happens, try to verify facts from multiple sources instead of believing the first shocking version of events. And most importantly, trust your instincts, but balance them with calm thinking, because clarity always comes when the mind is not rushed or afraid.